Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for coming out. All the distinguished guests here. I'd like to tell you just a little bit of something about our community interfaith food pantry. We've been going since about 2004, not in this building, but we have been serving the public. We are an all volunteer staff. I have about 99 volunteers who put in about almost 14,000 hours last year. So I really have to commemorate the volunteers that I do have. At average, in a year's time, we will deal with about 7,000 families. That's about 15,000 people that we're feeding, and we're giving enough food out to serve these people for 21 meals a week per person. So at the end of the year, you get about 40,000 bags of groceries, averaging about 15 pounds a bag. So that's about, if you're calculating, about $750,000 to feed that amount of people. We're very lucky. The town of Belleville has given us many opportunities with the wards that have been doing food drives for us. And over the last 12 weeks, I'm happy to say that they've raised us about 50,000 pounds of food, which is worth real close to $80,000. So the people of Belleville, I just wish to thank. Your hearts have been in the right place. What I'd like to do now is to introduce a special guest, the Honorable J.B. Pritzker, our Governor of Illinois.
Well, thank you all very much for coming out today, and what a beautiful day it is, and especially beautiful to see all the volunteers that are here and the amazing work that is done right here at this food pantry. Thanks to Michael and to the Interfaith Community Food Pantry, to St. Clair County Chairman Mark Kern, St. Clair County Intergovernmental Grants and Economic Development Executive Director Rick Stubblefield. That is the longest title of anybody here. That makes him the most important person here, maybe. And to Belleville Mayor Mark Eckert for hosting us today here in St. Clair County and right here in Belleville. To Catholic Urban Program Executive Director Tony Mohammed, Leader Jay Hoffman, Senators Rochelle Crow and Chris Belt, and Representatives Katie Stewart and Latoya Greenwood, who've all been terrific partners in getting things done for our food pantries and for so many of the services that people need. I want to thank them for their service to the people of Belleville, to the people of St. Clair County, and to all of Illinois. Just over 2 weeks ago, I was here in St. Clair with Chairman Kern, with Leader Hoffman, Representative Greenwood, and Senator Belt to highlight our COVID-19 public health response, our new contact tracing partnership right here, and the dozens of testing sites that we've made available in this region. And especially as we look to move our economy into phase 4 just 11 days from now, I want to emphasize that testing is a key aspect of being able to keep this virus under control. And it's free, that is testing, and available to anyone at any of our drive-through sites and in many other locations. While we continue to fight to keep Illinois' people healthy and safe from the virus, we must battle the economic pain that it has wreaked upon our communities. Unfortunately, in this battle, we are not unique. Every state in the United States, at every stage of reopening, has suffered job losses and business closures, including those that never formally had a stay-at-home order. Even with our economy reopened under the Phase 3 Community Recovery Order and heading toward Phase 4 soon, we must take action to protect people as best we can from the financial challenges that COVID-19 has brought on. For months, I have worked to do just that by banning residential evictions, placing a moratorium on utility shutoffs and vehicle repossessions, and launching grant and loan programs for our small businesses and restaurants, mechanisms that continue to support Illinoisans today. I have always focused on ensuring that the Illinois economy serves and supports its working families, but COVID-19 has had devastating financial implications for our most vulnerable residents. The work to build a state that serves all of its people, no matter who they are or what part of Illinois they call home, is more important than ever before as we seek to restore our economy while continuing to prioritize our collective health. With that work at our core, today I am proud to be here in Belleville to share another step forward in that mission. In partnership with the General Assembly, we have dedicated an additional $90 million this year to our low-income home energy assistance program and our community services block grant program through the Federal CARES Act. That $90 million is in addition to what we are already allocated from the federal government for these programs, for a total investment of $275 million in funding to provide things like rent and food and temporary shelter, and to help people pay their utility bills and other essential services for qualifying low-income households who need emergency assistance. This additional funding allows us to support more Illinoisans than ever before. This year, we've upped eligibility for these programs by increasing the income threshold from 150% to 200% of the federal poverty level. So for a family of four, this increase will now support a monthly income of up to $4,300. This new funding means approximately 1 million more residents are now eligible for community assistance. That's out of a total of 3.5 million. These two programs put hundreds of dollars on average into the hands of low-income households and families that need them the most. Last year alone, Illinois' existing LIHEAP, Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, provided utility bill assistance to approximately 250,000 households at an average rate of $600 apiece, helping to cover the cost of their heating, their gas, their propane, and electricity bills. The Community Services Block Grant Program provided rent assistance and helped cover the cost of food, water, medicine, temporary shelter, and other bills 400,000 individual times. With this year's new parameters, we can reach more people who have been affected by this crisis. Eligibility will be determined by several factors such as your household size. And because Illinoisans need help now, not months from now, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity has worked with its network of community partners to eliminate the in-person application requirement to expedite assistance. Starting today, residents seeking emergency relief can visit helpillinoisfamilies.com. That's helpillinoisfamilies.com to determine their eligibility. We encourage anyone who does not need in-person assistance to go ahead and submit their information via the new online pre-application form, which has been designed to streamline the application process and serve more applicants remotely. The pre-application also allows residents to apply from their own homes rather than needing to visit their local community agency in person as they once were required to do under federal guidelines. It's safer and it's more efficient, a winning combination as we get Illinoisans back to work. That doesn't mean our community agencies aren't still a critical part of this process. And in fact, I want to recognize that the staff of these locations have, amidst a pandemic, quickly overhauled their operations to facilitate remote intake of applications submitted online and via the call center. For decades, these agencies have served as a lifeline for countless residents and families seeking aid every year, and they continue to be relentless in that work. Families who need in-person assistance applying for these community assistance funds can still visit their community agencies, and here in Belleville, that's at the St. Clair Community Action Agency, about a mile down Main Street from where we're standing right now. New and existing users alike should plan to work with their local agency, whether in person or online, to apply, to determine benefits, and if approved, to rely on that local agency to handle their assistance, from rent to utilities to food and water, on their behalf. That same website, helpillinoisfamilies.com, will help residents determine their local agency where it is so that they can get the assistance that they need. With everything in one place, we're doing all that we can to make it as easy as possible for our residents to get help when they need it. And that's for many people right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to turn it over to our Acting Director of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, who can go into some detail about our goals here, and that's Michael Negron. Michael?
Thank you for the introduction, Governor, and thank you for your leadership in this time of great crisis. My name is Michael Negron. I am the Acting Director of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Our Director, Erin Guthrie, is on maternity leave, and I'm standing in for her through the end of August. As the Governor says often, the COVID-19 pandemic has presented us with twin crises, one of public health and one of economic downturn. And for too many families, these twin crises has pushed them to the edge of a cliff. Just one unpaid bill, one medical emergency away from financial ruin. That's why Governor Pritzker's budget expands an important set of programs that offer help with utility bills, water bills, emergency food, medicine, and rental assistance, and other important supports. Taking advantage of these funds available under the Federal CARES Act, as the Governor said, we're increasing by $90 million the amount of funding available for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, and the Community Services Block Grant Program, or CSBG. For a family of four, that's roughly an income of about $4,300 a month. This expanded investment will allow us to put hundreds of additional dollars on average into the pockets of families who need it the most. We will serve these residents in partnership with a network of 35 local community action agencies, like the St. Clair County Community Action Agency, which over the last few years has served thousands and thousands of residents each year. But it isn't enough just to rewrite the rules and to allocate more funds. Unless we're able to reach people where they are, we won't be spending those funds where we need to the most. That's why I'm also happy to talk about the reforms that we've made to the process for accessing these benefits. Previously, as the Governor mentioned, applications needed to be filed and screened in person. Well, that doesn't work for families right now. And that's not how this program is going to work going forward. Now residents can go to our new website, www.helpillinoisfamilies.com, which offers a step-by-step process for applying. You can fill out a pre-application form to share eligibility information, and our local community action agencies will follow up and help complete that application. And if you need to talk to somebody and walk through the application and work it over the phone, you can call our new hotline at 1-833-711-0374. I would like to thank our 35 partner agencies and the DCO team, which is headed up by David Wortman and Adrena Kim, for quickly working to stand up the Help Illinois Families initiative and undertaking the reforms that we need to make sure that this program works in the time that we're in. As the state of Illinois and the nation face an historic economic downturn in the midst of an historic pandemic, our mission at DCO has been to develop the initiatives to support the businesses and the workers that keep our economy moving. But an economy that leaves behind our most vulnerable residents doesn't move at all, and certainly doesn't move in line with the values of this administration, which is why we're proud to be launching this initiative under the Governor's leadership. And with that, I'd like to invite Leader Hoffman to come and make some remarks.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Governor, for being here. You have been a great partner to us here in the Metro East. And as we move forward and reopen, I know that the governor is committed to creating jobs, economic opportunity, including a capital bill that we passed this legislative session, which built on our capital bill last year, provide economic opportunity and jobs throughout our area. I'd like to thank Senator Belt, Senator Crow, Representative Greenwood, and Representative Stewart. We had a very abbreviated legislative session, and we were extremely busy in Springfield under these very difficult conditions, and we passed, I believe, legislation that's, number one, going to ensure that people who need assistance, such as the LIHEAP program or the community block grant program, are going to get. People who need assistance and need jobs and economic opportunity coming out of this COVID pandemic are going to get assistance. And as we move forward, the Help Illinois Families Initiative is going to provide the necessary benefits and help to families throughout all of Illinois. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize one individual here who is a legend in helping people in our community who are less fortunate, and that's the head of the St. Vincent de Paul, and that's Joe Hubbard. Joe, if we could acknowledge Joe. Finally, this $90 million commitment to help individuals, whether it's rental assistance or utility assistance, will be administered by the St. Clair County Department of Intergovernmental Grants, and I would like to introduce the individual who leads that, and that is Rick Stubblefield. Rick.
Good morning. Thank you, Leader Hoffman, and thank you, Governor Pritzker and the Department of Commerce for recognizing the hard work of St. Clair County Community Services and LIHEAP staff. Adrian and I cannot thank you enough for your leadership as we have relaxed eligibility and expanded our services. We are also very fortunate that we have tremendous support from the County Board and Chairman Kern. Chairman Kern has made sure that we had the necessary tools to immediately work remotely, and that PPEs, sanitized work areas, and strong policies to allow essential personnel to return to their offices as soon as possible. Leadership has allowed us to bring on new intake specialists and use existing personnel from other divisions to help increase our application flow. Our administrative and fiscal departments have also stepped up to the challenge, ensuring that disbursements are accurate and processed in a timely fashion. To put things in perspective, I believe we did in the 400 to 500 range for individual intakes last year. In the past 90 days, we have mailed out over 2,000 applications, and that is in addition to the applications downloaded from the website. We have had close to 1,000 applications returned, and the rate of return has not slowed. I would expect that we will have 5 to 6 times the number of applications this year as we had last year. We're also very fortunate to have great partners assisting us throughout the community. Entities like the Interfaith Food Pantry, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Sinai Family Life, St. Clair County Office on Aging, Catholic Urban Programs and the Christian Activity Centers, the Violence Prevention Center, and Southwestern Illinois College. St. Clair County is committed to helping individuals and families in crisis get the support they need. Our county, like others around the state, continues to receive an extraordinary number of applications for assistance as a result of this pandemic. We thank Governor Pritzker for prioritizing the expansion of these programs, which will provide more resources for more families during this time of need. I'd like to now introduce Tony Mohammed with Catholic Urban Programs.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you, Governor, for inviting me to participate in this press conference. I am Tony Mohammed, the Executive Director of Catholic Urban Programs. I will also be remiss in my duties if I didn't recognize Mr. Hubbard as the founder of Catholic Urban Programs. We've been around. We've been around serving the St. Clair County community for 43 years, I'm sorry. Catholic Urban Programs, the mission that we passionately come to work to pursue every single day is to end the cycle of poverty and rekindle hope in the people and in the community in which we serve in. We do that in 3 ways: through crisis intervention, through housing security, and through our out-of-school time programming. Catholic Urban Programs, we've served more than 1,300 families last year. We provide an array of services, from food support to utilities to housing assistance, burial assistance. We operate a monthly food pantry, and we've seen an increase in that service as we are, with the COVID-19. We've been extremely fortunate to have received a support and funding for COVID relief from a lot of different funders. So this additional funds will help us continue to support the clients that are in need. Our clients, even in the absence of a pandemic, already experience some level of crisis in their lives every single day. So when you compound it with a global pandemic, then those crises just increase. And so with the funding and with the anticipation of all of the moratoriums ending, then we anticipate that clients will be coming to us more and more to receive these necessary services. So having these funds and the relaxed guidelines will help us to address these needs immediately, and will remove the barriers that our clients are facing every day. Most people recognize that we, as a community, the one thing that I notice is that we have come together to, in these times, as a collaborative, to effectively and efficiently address the needs of our clients. We've done that. We created a co-ed of community organizations that meet once a week to make sure that we are addressing the needs as they arise. This has been a giving community. We have received funding from the United Way for homeless prevention, as well as our food support from the Deaconess Foundation and from the Housing Alliance Commission. So we will continue to provide these services. We are grateful and thankful for the governor and all of the individuals and the community foundations that have made this funding possible to come into our community. And we will continue to do this work and provide the assistance to the clients that are in most need of it. So now I'm going to invite the governor back up to the podium to address your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony, and happy to answer any questions from members of the media. Hi.
I'm your poll reporter, Lexi.
Great, hi.
The question I have for you from me. I've heard some concerns that renters may find themselves homeless at the end of this when the ban on evictions is lifted if they aren't able to pay back the back rent that they owe. Do you feel like this program that you're announcing today addresses that by making rent assistance available now?
It doesn't fully address it, there's no doubt about it, but it does address it to some extent. And I've heard that concern by people who've been out of work for a couple of months and have struggled to pay their rent. We have programs, not just what we announced today, but other programs at the Department of Human Services that are intended to provide rent assistance to people to help them deal with their monthly rent and even back rent. We don't want people to be evicted, and so we're going to try to work as we go forward to figure out how we can help people avoid that. Remember, I know that there are people who would say, well, why don't you just cancel rent? Sometimes you hear people say that. But remember that there are an awful lot of renters who are renting from people who really don't have a lot. They're maybe renting a room or an apartment or a portion of their home out, and they're living sometimes on that income. And so we want to make sure we kind of balance the interests here But certainly, as you've heard, I mean, this program does do a lot, I think, to help renters with rent assistance.
And the next question is from my colleague, Deasia Sugre. What are your thoughts on calls to defund the police, and what do you think that could look like in Illinois?
Well, what I hear when I hear those words is a desire for some fundamental change, both in terms of police accountability, making sure that we don't have people on the police force who are committing the kinds of crimes that I think we've all seen in videos that have been released lately. Remember, there are an awful lot of people who have been killed or severely injured who were never videoed and didn't get the justice that that they deserved. So what I hear is the need for funding of mental health services, for example. I think across the board, we all understand that so many people are suffering from mental health challenges. We've got to make sure that we keep them out of police hands. These are people who are sometimes homeless, for example, and police are sometimes forced to arrest them because they're a danger to themselves or a danger to others, but it's because they have a health problem that needs to be addressed. And so there are so many issues like that that are really about reducing the amount of policing that would be needed if we invested in the social services that people need to support their families. I do, and in fact, I'm working very hard with members of the Black Caucus and others who care deeply about this issue to make sure that we put an agenda together that's right for the state.
Let's ask a question from the reporter on that topic, Governor.
Yes, sir.
The Attorney General, Tommy Raoul, is looking at, I think it's licenses for police officers. What are your thoughts on that issue, and is that a good idea?
So as I've said many times, I think this is something we need to take a very hard look at. One of the reasons why it's been proposed, and of course when Attorney General Raoul was a state senator and chairman of the Judiciary Committee, he proposed this idea several years, I think 5 years ago, in fact. So the reason is because what we want to make sure happens is that there's an independent review of circumstances in which there is a killing by a police officer, and make sure that it doesn't get brushed under the rug by a local police department if they were going to choose to do something like that, and that therefore there's an independent investigation, independent review, and that people are held accountable if they weren't already going to be by their local department. So that's just one example of a reason why. You also don't want people who've committed these kinds of acts in one police department to leave that police department and then have a clean record when they go to another police department, and they're not held accountable for what happened in the first one. So that's an example of why licensing is being proposed, and we're looking very hard at that as part of the agenda.
Real quick, obviously that may take time, and communities say they can't wait because the abuse continues as recently as this weekend, not in Illinois, but in other cities. How can you fast track?
Well, we are working hard to do it in a quick fashion, but remember, we want to do it right. You don't want to put something in place that doesn't work. And so that's why there have got to be some committee hearings. I know members of the General Assembly will be participating in that. There are members of the Black Caucus and Latino Caucus who are very interested to make sure that that keeps on track, and I'm working very closely with them to drive that to a conclusion.
I'm going to switch over to coronavirus now. Mark Maxwell.
We have so many challenges, don't we, in the state of Illinois, that we got to move from crisis to crisis to really have a good press conference here. Yeah.
So Mark Maxwell asked, several states that were more relaxed in their COVID-19 restrictions are now seeing a spike in cases as we head into summer. His question is, does that make you more confident in your decisions to close businesses as early as we did in Illinois?
I am confident in the decisions that we've made. I mean, look, I'm not saying that we couldn't have made other decisions along the way and that everything was perfect. But we didn't have perfect information along the way. We were still learning from the doctors, the researchers, and so on, and still are, even now. But I will say that I think we've done this well, and you see it in the numbers. There was just an announcement over the last couple of days that Illinois had the largest decrease in COVID-19 cases while other states are spiking and actually having the greatest number of cases reported. And then I think you've also seen our hospitalizations are now below 2,000, which hasn't happened since April 2nd, I think somebody said. I do think we're doing this right. We're doing it gradually. We are moving forward. We're in phase 3 now. It's 11 days from now that it looks like all the regions seem to be moving in the right direction. So by June 26th, we'll have restaurants open and physical fitness gyms and so on open, and other things with restrictions, making sure that we're keeping people safe and healthy along the way here. That's the most important thing. Let's get commerce going, and let's make sure that people who are working in these stores and restaurants and facilities are safe, and the people who patronize those stores and restaurants are safe.
What would have to happen for you to move back in a phase and increase restrictions again, like in phase 2, say?
Well, we laid that out in the Restore Illinois plan. What would move us backward was the question, and we certainly do not want to move backward. And I think you've seen in the other states, they moved very quickly, and now they see a spike, and now they have to move backward. And you can imagine how damaging that is to small businesses who get ready to open. They put more money into opening, they get open, and then they have to close again. I mean, that really will kill a business. And so, not to mention, the damage that it does to the health of the community. So we are, again, I think the way we're doing it, the gradual opening that we're following is making a difference.
Here's one from Jim Williams in Chicago. The Illinois Hotel and Lodging Association is asking that hotel meeting rooms, ballrooms, and other public spaces be allowed to operate at 50% capacity under phase 4. Are you open to such a plan?
Look, I'm open to listening to plans from different industries. They know their industry better than any elected official will know their industry. But I also need to listen to the epidemiologists who say that in indoor facilities in particular, that we need to stay to some limits of numbers of people who can get together. In phase 4, that'll be 50, up from 10 now. And so getting to a larger number will really be up to the researchers and scientists, and something that I'll listen to and ultimately make a decision about. But I understand the challenges that hotels are going through as a result of the limitations.
I've got 2 questions about Illinois State Fair, so I'll just combine them into one and I'm done.
Okay.
This is from both Greg Bishop and Dave Dahl. They want to know, did you make the decision to cancel the Illinois State Fair on your own, or did you seek advice from people outside, and who did you seek advice from?
Look, like all of the decisions around capacity and events, I've listened to the experts, the Department of Public Health first, but also epidemiologists from other organizations from our universities in Illinois, as well as nationally. And I've spoken with Dr. Fauci a number of times to get his advice on some of these decisions. We're trying to do this with the best information that's available. And listen, I love the state fairs as much as anybody. I really do. And I waited maybe longer than others would have waited to finally make a decision, hoping that we might see a very effective treatment come out, or maybe even a vaccine that could make it possible for us to have that many people, in one place at one time. But again, the doctors are telling us that that's not really something that we ought to do right now. So, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.